If you're a Star Trek fan, and let's be honest, who isn't, then you know there's an abundance of shows, spin-offs, and movies you can watch starring your favorite characters in the amazing Star Trek universe. But the most recent and exciting development for Trekkies is the future release of Star Trek Picard Season 3 in 2023. There are many questions surrounding Season 3 and the future of the TNG crew, so let's dive right in. To start with, who's responsible for the amazing TNG reunion in Picard? The reunion that sent fans into a frenzy was the vision of Terry Matalas, the executive producer behind Star Trek Picard. He's also the sole showrunner for Season 3. Matalas, a lifelong fan of Star Trek, started working in Hollywood as a production assistant on Star Trek Voyager. After Enterprise, Matalas ascended the ranks to become a showrunner on various shows, such as Sci-Fi's 12 Monkeys, before returning to Trek for Picard's second season. And there's pressure to deliver, but with the series being in the hands of a creative mastermind and avid Star Trek fan, we're not too worried about how it's going to turn out. First up, how will Picard Season 3 be a continuation of TNG? The biggest Star Trek event since Captain Picard encountered Captain Kirk in Star Trek Generations is unquestionably the return of the complete Next Generation cast in Season 3 of Star Trek Picard. Actually, based on the enormous influence that TNG crew has had on pop culture, we're betting that it might even be bigger. Several well-known Star Trek TNG actors will reprise their roles in the third season of the Paramount Plus series. LeVar Burton plays Geordi La Forge, the Starfleet officer. Then we have Jonathan Frakes, who portrays William Riker, Gates McFadden, who plays Beverly Crusher, and of course the iconic Patrick Stewart, who portrays Jean-Luc Picard. Showrunner Terry Matalas has also revealed that Star Trek Picard Season 3 will combine earlier TNG adventures in future episodes with the help of these returning characters. When Patrick Stewart joined the cast of Star Trek Picard in 2018, it was his intention for the show to have 3 seasons. Plus, after Star Trek Nemesis flopped, showrunner Terry Matalas wanted Star Trek Picard Season 3 to act as a send-off for Star Trek The Next Generation, something fans noticed that they never got. Matalas said that Picard Season 3 serves as the conclusion to The Next Generation. He called it a 10-hour movie, so it seems that their send-off will be planned and executed as perfectly as possible. So if you felt like TNG left you without closure, Picard Season 3 is coming to give you just that. Let's look at what Terry Matalas has to say. Who better to learn more about Season 3 than from the showrunner Terry Matalas himself? According to him, it was important that Picard Season 3 fit into the Star Trek universe. With a long-standing history and meticulous world-building, Star Trek has a distinct quality and essence that has come to define the show, and all associated with it. So we can see that Picard Season 3 has done its best to continue the tradition of Star Trek TNG. With the show as classic as Star Trek, it's best not to divert too much from what the fans know and love. Seems like Matalas has gotten the formula down to a T. Speaking further, Matalas said that it was very important to him that the show treads new ground, but also feels like a continuation of the stories and arcs set up 30 years ago. He says, "There's a fine line between fan service and honoring the universe you're in, so I just went full tilt at the things that mattered to me." Many Star Trek fans have followed the series closely since its release. With a rich fantasy world, unforgettable characters, and unique storytelling, it's become harder and harder to keep the spirit alive and keep refreshing the same series in a unique way. Hearing Matalas dedicate himself so fully to the series allows you to take a sigh of relief. At least we know the Star Trek universe is in safe hands. Up next, how the musical score is a callback to TNG. We've established that the TNG cast will return to Picard Season 3, but that's not all it takes to continue. Besides a stellar cast and crew, a show also needs a great soundtrack. Every iconic show has an iconic soundtrack to back it up, and Star Trek is no exception. Terry Matalas has expressed that he wants to recreate the sound in The Next Generation's final seasons. For Picard Season 3 soundtrack, Matalas is reportedly using the work of series composers Stephen Barton and Frederick Weidman. There are also homages to long-cherished Star Trek composers Jerry Goldsmith, James Horner, Dennis McCarthy, and Cliff Idleman. Speaking to Den of Geek, Terry Matalas has said the music was extraordinarily important for his experience of viewing the show. As the show builds up to an epic crescendo, an epic score is also needed for it. Fans of TNG will be happy to find out that legendary composers familiar with the world of Star Trek have been consulted when creating the score for Picard Season 3. Up next, all the hints we have for a TNG spin-off. Picard Season 3 has made its mark on the Trekkies, which is why why thinking about its ending is just too painful. If you're an avid Star Trek watcher and aren't sure of what to do after the show ends, we're here to give you the entire scoop of when and if you can expect a spin-off of the beloved series. In the Inglorious Treksters podcast, Matalas gives us the inside scoop for the upcoming season of Picard and how it may provide a setup for an upcoming Star Trek series. Trekkies rejoice because it seems like the show is here to stay. The Star Trek Picard cast openly advocated for yet another reunion at New York Comic-Con while teasing Season 3 of the show. Patrick Stewart fueled the flames by saying he might be content to return for another TNG film, and Jonathan Frakes backed up the suggestion by pointing to a hole in Paramount's schedule. He's referring to the departure of Star Trek 4's director and removal from the studio's 2023 plan. It's entirely possible that things may have changed internally as the creators saw the rising interest in Picard Season 3, so the series ending doesn't also mean the end for the TNG crew. Jonathan Frakes' tweet has also sent fans into a frenzy. Replying to Star Trek's official page tweeting about the final voyage, Frakes said that it's maybe not final. Well, you heard the man. See you at the premiere of the TNG spin-off. Coming up, 3 spin-off ideas for the TNG crew. Now that we know there's a possibility for a spin-off, we've collected the best spin-off ideas for the TNG crew. Keep watching to see if you've thought about these already. First up, Captain Worf, the battling bridge captain. A Captain Worf series is something that most Star Trek fans have long desired to see. The ideal show for many would be to see Worf as a captain of his very own ship. In fact, we'd be happy to have nothing more than Worf showing up at an unplanned space station and starting a brawl for the honor of prune juice. Coming up next, we have Geordi La Forge, Starfleet instructor. Even if some of these are a little comical, it would be incredible to see Geordi La Forge dealing with the Starfleet youngsters. Remember reading Rainbow? LeVar Burton, who plays La Forge, became a staple of our formative years as the host of this educational show. If he can teach so many youngsters the importance of reading, he could do amazing with a whole classroom of Starfleet newbies. It only makes sense that a production starring Burton would be best set in a learning environment. Dr. Beverly Crusher, NCIS Neutral Zone. It'd be interesting to see Beverly Crusher work as some type of crime investigator with Garak, Jake Sisko, Tuvok, or Harry Kim, even though the show's name may be a good little jab at the oversaturation of some shows. Exploring the mysterious side of the Star Trek universe could give us a well-deserved break from the action and allow us to put our thinking caps on. Finally, what can we expect in Season 3 and beyond? Even though Picard is the latest in the Star Trek series, we can see that the creators and visionaries behind it have honored the fans and the series by adding callbacks to the next generation through the cast, plot lines, and even the music. Besides that, the fans have shown their unwavering support and interest for the beloved TV series, and it seems like the cast is also reluctant to say goodbye. With endless teasers about future spin-offs, possible movies, and further reunions, the end of Picard won't be so heart-wrenching after all. If you think we missed out on how Picard Season 3 is a continuation of TNG, comment below to let us know. We'd also love to know which one of those spin-offs you'd put into production, and which ones would never make it past a table read. If you enjoyed this video, remember to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.
That looking at the human race with all its violence and corruption and